So delicately done, honestly.
All right, guys. I do get flustered when I have to do this. It's the Trump card.
Oh.
The Joker is not funny anymore.
Did you kick that over deliberately?
I think that may have been some subconscious aggression.
I know you did.
Remember how, at the beginning of Trump's presidency, we talked a lot about his divisive, misogynist, racist conduct. We hardly ever bring it up these days. We've all acclimatised. Let's face it, for Donald Trump to shock us now, the bar is pretty high. So congratulations, Mr. President. By endorsing the message of an extreme right-wing group, you have successfully reached a new low. The obscure Britain First, which campaigns on an openly white supremacist platform, has been given a global boost thanks to the leader of the free world, who approvingly retweeted their overtly Islamophobic posts. Even Theresa May, usually reluctant to alienate our supposed ally, has issued a statement condemning Trump's messages. It's time for her to go a step further. Any suggestion of Trump being given a state visit must now be unequivocally withdrawn. May said, British people overwhelmingly reject the prejudiced rhetoric of the far right, which is the antithesis of the values this country represents. It's time we rejected the president who endorses them, too.
So I watched the videos that he had tweeted, and I actually found them genuinely upsetting, particularly the one where there was the guy on the crutches, which I won't necessarily go into all the details of, but I found that really... It genuinely upset me, and when you share content like that, whoever you are, you're doing it to provoke a strong, horrible reaction against the perpetrators. That's the only reason. You are trying to create division and hatred. There's no other reason for that. So I feel very strongly that he shouldn't have shared those tweets. There's no real reason to have shared those tweets other than to whip up a frenzy and hatred. So I think he was very, very wrong to have done so. I don't think he probably recognised the Britain First thing. So whilst it's prominent to us, particularly with Joe Cox, etc., I don't think it has that prominence in America. So I don't think there was a natural link there and an intention to endorse a particular group. I think that was an accidental byproduct. But I think he was very wrong to have done what he did.
Just to make plain, the person who murdered Joe Cox, of course, was not a member of the organisation, although he used those words, just so we get... Sorry, Michelle, back to you.
Absolutely right. Yeah. So that's the first point. The second point is, I don't think he should be denied a state visit. I think that people have been trying to stop that state visit pretty much from day one, and they will just jump on anything that they can find to stop that, because they just don't like him. He is the President of the United States. We need, particularly post-Brexit, a relationship with the United States. So I don't think we should be stopping that state visit.
Either you do let him come or you don't let him come. I don't think you can let Brexit...
Yes, no, but I don't think you should let Brexit...
No, but I don't think you should let Brexit... Either what he's done goes beyond the pale, or is it acceptable?
And does it go beyond
the pale? Let me just very quickly answer your point.
Sorry.
It's my response to a state visit isn't to do with Brexit. I've always said he should be entitled to a state visit.
Has he gone beyond the pale?
I'm going to confess something. This is the first time I feel completely conflicted, and I actually don't know. And it's the first time in living memory, and I actually felt myself doing this on the radio.
Why didn't he delete his retweets?
It's totally wrong. It's absolutely inexcusable. It's unpardonable. And my first reaction is, we are not like this in Britain. We are a tolerant nation. But... let's just remember, we have incredible affinity. They are among our closest allies. And although it is Trump, we are also talking about the bond between the British people and the American people who have been through wars together. My late father served in the war, and that generation did. So to allow this loathsome individual... And by the way, I've never been into dishing Trump, because 4 million Americans... I've always tried to see the better side of him. That's over. From now on in, that's it, you've gone too far, you're a loathsome individual. But does that mean you break relations between UK and US? I honestly am conflicted.
We can't break relations. You know, Michelle made the point, post-Brexit, it's very important. He's one of the guys who said, we'll be first in line to get a deal. But, you know, since time immemorial, we have had relationships with American presidents. And, you know, I think our mistake is, I think he's an idiot as well, but I think our mistake is we keep expecting him to morph into the kind of president that we know and understand. He's never going to be that. He won't care about any of this criticism. He really doesn't care. All he cares about is representing the people who voted for him, the people in Middle America. So none of this touches him. And us frothing at the mouth and saying he shouldn't come. You know, I heard someone on the radio today say, he should be allowed to come and watch the demonstrations. No, because that's just going to, I nearly said a swear word, that's going to hack him off. That's going to really mess him up. And he's likely to take spite out on this country. We don't want to do that.
Yeah, we shouldn't be frightened, though.
We can't crawl to him,
of him.
but we can't alienate him either. We need America, whether we like it or not.
Well, I think the tragic thing is that clearly, from the evidence of President Trump's tweet this morning, which directly accused Theresa May of sort of trying to undermine him, he just doesn't care. Mm. And I think what we're seeing is a real degradation in actual the art of international diplomacy.
Just to tell me, come back to you, just in case you didn't see, so the viewers, if you don't know, this is at Theresa May. This is from President Trump. Don't focus on me, focus on the destructive, radical Islamic terrorism that is taking place within the United Kingdom. We are doing just fine.
And I know it pains me to say this, and I know that Carol will roll her eyes, probably rightly, but I just feel that since first Brexit and then Trump, we have seen a sort of coarsening of discourse, which he is spearheading and encouraging because it encourages his own power base. So let's see how we reacted to it.
But to visit or not to visit? You've danced around a bit.
I think he's got to come. He's still President of the United States. But let's see what Chuka Umunna, who speaks about many things, and he's now responded to the Trump tweets.
I don't think the President of the United States, a president who has not only promoted bigotry, misogyny and racism in his own country, I don't think he is welcome here. I think the invite that has been made to him to come to our country in early 2018 should be withdrawn.
I don't agree. I think that when he goes low, we go high. And we show President Trump how a grown-up country with courtesy at its heart of its institutions operates.
And the tragedy is, you said this at the start, you said this has given, this group, this Britain First, is only about 1,000 active members. We have now made them like global...
Well, we haven't, he has.
He has.
So for those of you, well, I guess all of you who think that the visit shouldn't be cancelled, is there... Or you're on the fence?
I'm to be one.
That's a big change.
Yeah.
He really got to you with this
one. You were really looking forward to it, Nick, remember?
Yes, but that's it.
Is there, for the rest of you, a line that... Because, I mean, Carol, you said, they're our ally, we need to keep that relationship. Is there a line, or is there nothing that he could do that would make you think that we need to stand up for our values as a country?
I think he's a dangerous buffoon, I do. But for 4 years at least, he's representing the biggest superpower on the planet. We can't just say, off you go, we don't like what you say. And the tragedy in all of this...
It's totally contrary to what we stand for in this country.
Yes, he is. But yeah, he is. And when he says here, don't focus on me, focus on the radical Islamic terrorism... no one's doing that. We're just focusing on his stupidity and his idiocy in doing this. And that's the tragedy.
Don't forget that it's a government that he would be engaging with. And that government is not just Theresa May, they're ministers. And I just want to read you what Sajid Javid said, because for people who are actually personally affected by the kind of rhetoric that Trump is endorsing, of whom Sajid Javid is one, he said, "So POTUS has endorsed the views of a vile, hate-filled, racist organisation that hates me and people like me. He is wrong and I refuse to let it go and say nothing." These are the issues. People in government are personally affected by the kind of message that he is endorsing.
I think that it's a mistake to make it America all about Donald Trump. And he comes over as president of the biggest, superpower, which we have to do business with. And, he loves all this attention.
There's doing business, and then there's the specific honour of a state visit.
Either you have a principle, right, Rach, in all honesty, you have a principle by which you live, or you think, well, actually, it's not quite the same principle because China or Britain or US are quite powerful and big.
I think he'd be thrilled if the UK cancelled the state visit.
Okay, guys, show of hands. He should not be invited for a state visit. Nick, come on, I know you're with me.
It was her line, when he goes low, we go high. That's what won it for me. Sorry.
Okay, I'm alone, but strong. So the rest of you all think he should be able to come.
Imagine poor Theresa May. She probably really wants to tell him to do one, and she can't. She has to deal with this guy, and she has to tread a very fine line.
Sorry.